Hello and welcome to Cash Chats, the podcast from Be Clever With Your Cash that takes you through some of the biggest money stories of the week. I'm Amelia Murray. Sadly, Andy's not here today, but we've got a really special guest. Vix Leyton, the woman with so many hats, I've lost count. She's a consumer expert, stand-up comedian, and longtime friend of Be Clever With Your Cash. She's also the host of the False Economy podcast and head of marketing and PR at Pepper, the reward site. Have I missed anything?
No, I think that's probably it. I haven't even got any swimming badges I can share.
Well, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So some of the stories we're looking at in Your Money this week are consumer groups warning over supermarket spending challenges, a new coffee subscription service from Leon, and a different face on your banknotes. We'll also be sharing this week's successes and some more of the challenging experiences from you guys, the community. It's episode 390 of Cash Chats. So this week we've seen loads of political coverage following Tuesday night's debate. There's still nothing solid to report on, but we will be getting into it as the election draws closer. But what we are talking about today is a warning about supermarket loyalty schemes. So what's going on there?
Well, we can't talk about party politics, but this is all about which supermarket gets your vote. So what we know about loyalty schemes is they are designed to keep you loyal to their supermarket. So they use all kinds of tricks and little ways to keep you from shopping anywhere else. But what we also know is you should have more and more of these loyalty cards, as many as you can fit onto your phone, basically. Shop around, be promiscuous when it comes to your shopping, because a lot of these deals aren't always what they appear. And one of the things that they're doing at the moment, which has raised some red flags, is they are incentivizing people to spend a specific amount in store on a weekly or monthly basis to get more loyalty points, to get a bigger boost to their bonus. And that's quite an irresponsible thing to do in a cost of living crisis, because some people might not have that extra couple of quid that you need to spend to reach your £25 thresholds. And it encourages a bit of reckless spending, and it throws people off their budget.
What I've seen is like the supermarkets will always claim that they're doing the best for their customers. So with these loyalty schemes, as you said, like, yeah, they may reward customers, but they're rewarding the supermarkets more. And, they're saying we're trying to do the best. We've already seen, a few months ago, Tesco's pre-tax profits hit like £2.3 billion, up from 882 million. So like they're doing well with it. And we've got the prices are going up, food is more expensive, supermarkets are having to compete more on this, so they're kind of making it into a game. It's like that gamification, which is often quite risky when it comes to your money, and with the kind of playing the game, so having as many loyalty cards as you can get, the average person just has 3, so there's definitely plenty more kind of shopping around that we can do. I think also what's interesting is the CMA, they are looking into whether loyalty prices are a genuine promotion or they're actually misleading, they're putting shoppers at a disadvantage, and what impact it's actually having on habits. And, we're expecting an update on this in July. So, I mean, we're all kind of looking at it, and yet the supermarkets are kind of, telling us that they're doing it for us and they're, we're going to be rewarded in the end. But do you have any tips for kind of making the most of these schemes?
What I like to do, and this is how I keep track of loyalty prices, is I look at the price of Nescafe Zero, because the price that they like to show you is £7. And now it's just a jar of coffee. It's not got any gold in it. It is just coffee. It's nice coffee, but it is just coffee. And when they first brought in loyalty prices, that was one of the biggest discounts you could get. So they were £2 instead of £7. But they've slowly but surely started to inch up. So that's my marker now. When I'm in the shop, I'm like, how good is this deal? I will go and find the Nescafe Zero and I'll price it up. And I'll be like, the supermarkets, they're not the only ones. Those 4 aren't the only supermarkets. Loyalty prices are great. Loyalty points are great. But ultimately what loyalty points means is spending more in that shop.
I think so. And with these, with the spending targets for these loyalty schemes, I think it's about being really mindful, the kind of, it's the kind of the buying what you need and not kind of having that not basically being a slave to the incentive. Because I have it sometimes with Lidl where I'm just like, oh, hit that. I just need to spend a bit more. And then I get like a free loaf of bread. And I'm like, no, I don't need the free loaf of bread. Like, I don't need that dopamine hit. It's all fine. And I don't
I got space in my freezer for this bread? I didn't want it. It's not on my list. Why do I need it? But I guess if you are going to do that, go to the non-perishables. Like if you want that incentive, buy toilet rolls. because you're always going to need toilet rolls. So if you do want to inch it up, make sure it's not, I'll just put these 3 lovely chocolate bars in because that will make my basket up to what it needs to be. So keep that in mind. Keep your, your washing powder, the things that you will need, rather than whimsy purchases.
Now, onto another story this week that could also increase consumption of coffee. Second mention of coffee already. This week, we've looked into Leon's coffee subscription service, which offers up to 5 hot drinks a day for £25 a month. It's £5 a month cheaper than rival Pret, but what else should people know?
Now, it is cheaper, but in terms of what you get value wise, it might not actually be the equivalent, because if you look in the small print, a lot of stations aren't included in this deal. So, where I mostly pick up coffee is probably when I'm getting a train somewhere. I commute all over the country doing stand up gigs. So, I am actually a Pret subscriber. I initially signed up because there was a deal, it was half price. And I was like, £15 for unlimited coffee is brilliant. And then I never cancelled. And over time, I went from begrudging it to actually recognizing that it's pretty good, actually, because at an average of £4 a coffee, you don't have to have many to make your money back. I have arguably gone the other way now, and I will have coffee that I don't need just to feel like I'm getting value. I'm my father's daughter, and that is exactly what he would do. But yeah, it is slightly different in that you still get 20% off their food, but the food typically is slightly more expensive because they're hot meals. So it depends what kind of food you're going to be going for, because I personally think there's a bit more range in Pret as well. So if you are not ever going to go on a train or to an airport and use it, and you're somebody who likes a hot meal, this could be the one for you. But the benefits aren't quite as good for the fiver. So it also depends what you've got local. I live in Sheffield, and there's only one Pret in Sheffield, so I have to really get my fill in every other time that I'm at now. But if you're a coffee person, like, don't get it. If you only get a cup of coffees, it is not worth it. But if you're a coffee person, yeah, it's I don't think it's quite as good when you look at it on paper versus the current deal. So
Yeah, it's all about the exclusions, isn't it? Because I think when you look at it kind of as it is, if the standard coffee is about £4, you know, and you get one every working day when you commute in the week, you're spending about £80 on coffee that month anyway. So you would be making a significant saving with a subscription with Leon or Pret. But the thing is, yeah, with Leon there are exclusions. So with the Pret one, you can get like the lemon, like the barista made like lemonade. And with this yeah, and so with this one, it's just, it's the coffee and the tea. And, you'd still be saving though if you did get 3 a week. But yeah, it's the exclusions again. It's like if that's part of your morning routine, you get off the train on your commute and you pick up a coffee, then you're not going to be able to get them. There's not that many Leons about. You might not have a local one, and you do kind of have to commit to getting all of your coffees from Leon if you're going to make the most of the deal. Another thing that I guess like maybe won't work for people is you can't get all 5 at one time. So if you can't do like a coffee round for your office. You have to wait an hour between each order. And I guess you could do a staggered coffee run. I mean, you'd be getting your steps up, but it's probably not that practical if you want to kind of make friends in the office. But yeah,
it's half hour for Pret. So you can feasibly, if you're somebody who arrives early to the station, you can get one on arrival, which I often do, and then you time it and you get one for the train as well. So it's on the half hour. And another thing I found with Pret is they've got the free drink discretionary thing. So sometimes when I'm in there, if I'm only buying like a cup of tea for my mum, they have comped it in the past. If I said, "Can I use 2 at once?" and pretended that I didn't know what the terms and conditions are, they have given me a second free drink quite a few times. So that's a hack.
I'm going to say that's a top tip from Vix there. I love it.
Give that a try. My photo is going to be on Pret's wall now for this, but you can also use the discount without getting a coffee as well, so you can still get your 20% off. And Pret does Pret perks. So for every 10 purchases you make that aren't free coffees, you get a free thing. And I've had everything from a bag of crisps to a cake to a bottle of water. So Pret have been in the market a little bit longer. So I think they've got an idea of what people want. I'm not saying I would never, but also they haven't got any new member type stuff either, which I think is an absolute missed opportunity. No one wants to go in straight off the bat with £25 committed. I think they need to get some half price codes in circulation if they want my interest.
Wow. Leon, if you're listening, we have a consultant here to give you some.
I've got views. Yeah. I am your target market.
But if you want any more details, Zoe has listed kind of, she's done an analysis, she's compared it to Pret, and it's all over on the Be Clever with Your Cash website. But as one company introduces a new service, another one shuts one down. So First Direct is axing its handy text notifications on the 10th of August. So this bank has been offering this service for 25 years. So customers who've opted in are sent mini weekly or monthly bank statements without the need of kind of logging into the account. So, no further details. It also sends alerts when your balance goes above or below a certain amount or when money comes and goes. So it's really great for kind of keeping in touch with your account without kind of, going through verification processes. You just get it straight to your mobile phone. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird move. What does it mean for customers?
Yeah, this is the weird thing because First Direct were one of the first banks that didn't have branches, and what came with that was things like the tech service to make sure that people still felt like they were in touch with their money, that they could keep track of what they were doing. It's digital exclusion, unfortunately, because this is the kind of thing that my mum doesn't know what she's doing. My mum will still go to the bank and print a little mini statement, put a card in and get a mini statement. And it's a really bad time to do it as well, because people more than ever need to keep track of what they've spent, of the bits they forgot they spent, because it's very easy to go out and accidentally spend quite a lot over the course of a little shopping trip. By the time you've had your coffee, you've got yourself a cake. It's useful. It's useful to provide that, whether or not people want it as well. The fact that it was automated meant people could, on a weekly basis, have a little look, check how they're doing over the course of the month, and it doesn't really feel like the options they've given them now are going to meet that gap for people who haven't got smartphones, maybe don't know how to use an app, and can't use the online services. So ultimately, it just excludes a lot of people who aren't very tech savvy, who maybe have cheaper phones that they aren't able to go into the app or access the online services. So I don't understand how expensive sending these texts must be that they've made this decision.
Yeah, it's always been one of the cheapest form of communication, the kind of the updates, and it seems like it's been perfect for this service for so long. And I think one of the issues I have is like there's going to be a dedicated phone line where you can call up and get kind of the statement information. But my issue is like, well, what information are they going to require? Are you going to have to pass security? Probably, because you're going to have to kind of account, and that's that can take time. If you don't know your security details off, like it's just like another barrier to kind of getting access to your information. And if we look at some of like the kind of the newer digital banks, I get notifications from Starling when I spend, I get notifications from Chase when I spend, but I don't have the kind of the mini statements or the kind of, it was like the last 5 transactions. But I'm a banking app user. And so if you're not, and you're kind of looking at perhaps more of like the high street banks, there aren't that many that offer this. So I think RBS and Nationwide still offer text notifications, and Lloyd's will kind of alert you with overdraft warnings. But yeah, it feels like a backward step for First Direct. And there's another company that's made a big decision in terms of withdrawals this week. So Plusnet, the mobile provider, which has thousands of customers, and yeah, is completely closing this month. Did we see it coming? It was kind of withdrawing kind of quietly from the market about a year ago. It was kind of stopping offering these services to kind of new customers. It was telling existing customers that they could leave penalty free, which is a strangely generous offer for the telecoms industry. But yeah, what's happening?
Well, it's all in the BT family, and sort of BT are making moves to consolidate BT and EE a little bit more. So you're starting to see them cross promote. Obviously, the shops are now BT EE. Are they going to end up together under one brand again? Because people still trust, like BT is still this massive trusted brand. But because Plusnet spoke to people in a northern voice, I think people forget that it is all part of the same family. But they have been warning people since 2023. My mum was on an orange contract until very recently, because the contract she had signed, they couldn't get her off it. They could not take away her services. So I think she was one of 10 people in the country that were totally responsible for an entire phone mast still being maintained. And they were offering her more and more things to try and lure her away from her orange dolphin plan. And she was just not engaging with any of it. I think she's finally on something new now, but they will be offering very attractive things. They want this to go smoothly, and ideally they want you to go to their sister brand, which is EE. So they will be offering, if not equivalent offers to what you're on, probably they're willing to go a little bit better as well to capture you back into the sort of BTE families.
And so if you are a Plusnet customer, your SIM will be inactive after this month's bill. And yeah, and as Vic said, switching provider is really easy and you should do it as soon as you can. You can text PAC to 65075. You'll get it in a minute. And then you have 30 days to take it to a new provider. And then you can kind of switch within a day. So very easy to do, but kind of get moving. So
yeah, but go in store, get them to help you. If there's any confusion, there are stores on every high street still. Go into a BCE store and they will be more than happy to help you move on to one of their contracts. So, but yeah, make a bit of work for them for your inconvenience. Get in there.
So with Plusnet shutting down, perhaps it wasn't the biggest surprise, but maybe what is a bit more of a shock is that Asda Petrol has become the most expensive of all the supermarkets when for years it's been the cheapest. That ain't Asda price, is it, Vix? What's going on?
No one's patting that back pocket for that. Nobody is patting their back pocket for these. Well, I call them deals. We use the term loosely. So yeah, RAC looked at this and they took it to the CMA and found Asda selling petrol for 146.34 pence per litre, which is significantly more expensive than Tesco's and Morrison's, which are charging 144.45. Now, this is pence, which is you think, oh, pence, but you do have to, as per the old adage, look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves. And the thing is, their reputation is that they are the cheapest. So there's a chance that people won't look. They won't shop around. They'll just assume that petrol prices have gone up wholesale. And as a result, their Asda prices has chipped up a bit. So again, it's consumers need to take control of these decisions and shop around and not make assumptions, because they did build quite a reputation for being the cheapest. They were very proud of it. I don't think they're going to communicate this change in quite the same way.
Well, even stronger, Asda is denying it. So the
What?
RAC has says it's the first time since it started tracking petrol prices that Asda has not been the cheapest, and Asda is claiming it is still market leading. So I don't think it's ready to accept the fact. Yeah. So and I guess with this, like as you said, it does look like pennies, but you could actually spend 17% more going to the wrong forecourt. Now there's different ways that you can compare prices. So petrolprices.com, there's a website, there's an app, and getting it right. So, even within kind of like your 5 mile radius or like your location, getting it right, you can save 10 to 15 pounds on like filling up a family car. There's also loyalty schemes, which, yeah, be careful of those. Like, don't just go to the one that you're loyal to, kind of, use the comparison site as well. And rather than panic when you need to fill up, fill up 50 miles before you're dry, so you can kind of make a plan and go to the cheapest petrol station, because we can all do a saving. So with the election coming up, politicians are being put under pressure to reveal what they're going to do to tackle hardship, because we've had a pandemic, there's soaring energy bills, and we're still in a cost of living crisis. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation has put out some really quite frightening research that suggests almost 1 million people are £10 a week away from the poverty line. And that includes 200,000 children and 300,000 pensioners. And then there's another 1.7 million people that are just £20 a week away from the poverty line. I mean, what's going on?
It's frightening. And I think there's something very universal about this latest round of cost of living crisis. It used to be only the people at the thinnest wedge were affected. And it's just with everything going up, energy bills have gone up, interest rates have gone up, people's mortgages have gone up at a rate that we cannot possibly keep up with. We are not seeing any pay rises in businesses. Businesses are struggling, so they're not able to pay any pay rises. They've been saying that for quite a long time, including businesses that are posting record profits. So, let's see how that goes. But it's become everyone's problem now, and it's there's something really unifying about it, and I think it is leading to people having some much realer conversations about the state of their finances, because realistically, even people who would have been relatively comfortably off a couple of years ago are one setback away from not being able to meet their repayments, and that is frightening, because it's just a lot of people are operating on a house of cards now. Maybe they took out credit cards where they felt quite financially secure. All of a sudden the repayments, even at the lowest level, are significantly more expensive. They're coming out of fixed rate terms on mortgages and energy bills, and then all of a sudden your washing machine goes, it's £1,000 to replace it. you can't meet one repayment. And as we know, banks are not, unfortunately, taking any measures to be supportive. If you go £1 under your overdraft, you're being charged £25 for the privilege. And if you still can't, if you haven't got the pounds to get yourself back into credit, you haven't got 25. And that just spirals off into, it is so easy to go from one missed payment to feeling like you absolutely cannot dig yourself out. And there are so many households already here and so many households that are scared of that. And I don't think anyone is doing enough about it. And
Though, yeah.
it is bleak. And it's, as consumer experts, Amelia, yourself, we keep getting asked, how can we make things cheaper? How can we bring down the price of things? We don't have a magic trick anymore. It used to be shop around for things, but there's no magic trick anymore that can make £200 in a household that didn't exist. And everybody has done everything. So in the job that I'm in, it's a really hard time to be a consumer expert when people are asking for tips on, can we get it even cheaper? And you're just like, no. The economy is broken. People are working as hard as they can. They're doing hours like they've never done. They're doing everything they've always done, and their money is just cannot meet the expectations of the world that we live in, of the price of groceries, of the inflation. It's interesting that the inflation rate keeps being held up as an example of like the economy working, but people forget that the inflation rate, when they're like, oh, the inflation rate's gone down, it's like it's getting bigger, slightly slower this month. Because occasionally I get asked, it's like, oh, brilliant, shopping will be cheaper next month. And it's like people just don't understand enough about it to appreciate that these figures that are getting trumpeted out they're nothing to be proud of. So
I was watching the debate as well, and there was a woman on there, and she was, middle-aged, she's got grown-up children, and she was saying she works full-time and she spends her weekends batch cooking just to kind of to help herself. So you're spending your working week working, knowing that you have to spend your weekend then working to make your money go further than it does. And she was asking, Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, like, what either are you going to do about it? And it was so frustrating watching it and watching them talk around the topic. And she was asking for solutions, as we all are, and there was just kind of nothing. It was just this, oh my god, it was just so funny. But that kind of we'll save that for another podcast. My views on the
no one's done anything wrong.
But I think right now, we do know that there's so much money in benefits that goes unclaimed every year. So it is definitely worth checking, even if you're a working adult. There are things that you can do. So turn to us and Entitled To both have benefits checkers. You can also speak to your providers to see, energy companies can sometimes give you help with your energy bills. You might be entitled to grants. You can get breathing space with some of your debts. And you can also speak to National Debt Line and Step Change, the debt charity, if you are struggling. But yeah, as we kind of said on this podcast before, like, if it is you, there is no shame about it, because it could happen to any of us. And it has happened to so many people who weren't expecting it. And finally, our last story of the week is, well, you might have seen it already. The King has entered circulation. King Charles is on all 4 banknotes, the £5, the £10, the 20, and the 50. I haven't seen any yet, but have you?
Me either. No, I don't do enough with cash anymore, to be honest. But maybe I'll get some for my birthday. I mean, I'm going to be 40, but I still have aunties that will put a crispy little note in a birthday card for me. But you don't see a lot of cash in circulation anymore. So I'm excited about it. I'm weirdly excited about it.
So, in case you were interested, King Charles is the second monarch to appear on the notes. Queen Elizabeth II appeared in 1960. But you can still use the old Queen notes. They're all still fine. And the King Charles ones are only being printed to replace the old warm ones anyway. So I guess they're going to coexist in circulation together. Little fun fact for you. The picture of King Charles is a picture taken in 2013. So, I mean, good luck recognizing him. I don't know if you should be allowed to do that.
Oh yeah, he doesn't look anything like himself, does he? He's got the
baby.
It's a majestic hairline he's sporting there.
And that is it for this week. Those are all the stories for today. Thank you so much, Vix, for joining me and sharing all your brilliant insights. I mean, I think we've got some businesses who could really do with your help. How do people find you?
I'm on all the socials, including TikTok, but don't bother with that. I don't understand it. I'm too old for it. It's Vix Leyton, Vixleyton. I also have a podcast, False Economy, where it's a little bit like this, but with less insight. So it's me and Paul Watson, who is the comedian Mark Watson's brother. So the rationale for that is he looks like him and he sounds like him, but he's a little bit cheaper. So yeah, we go through sort of some of the bigger, quirkier stories of the week, and yeah, try and make sense of them. But yeah, so it's through more of a humorous focus. So it's not a rival to this podcast; it's more of a companion.
So I'm going to stick around and give some shout outs to the community. But yeah, thanks again, Vic. See you soon.
And you, thank you for having me.
So, as promised, I want to give a shout out to some of the Be Clever with Your Cash community and share some of the experiences that they've put on the Facebook group this week. So, first up, Chandran says, thanks for the tips on travel, specifically Uber for train discounts and trip.com. And he says now, because he's booked lots of flights before, he's got a diamond membership, which gives extra discounts on train travel. And he also got 10% cash back using his Halifax card on LNER. Just so you know, this deal is not active now, but you know, it could always come back. So this is a great win. I mean, transport is so expensive. I kind of like die a bit inside every time I have to get a train, and I have this resistance to paying for travel full price. So it's brilliant that with kind of some of the tips that he's found on Be Clever with Your Cash, which you can find too, it's on the site, that he's really kind of making those discounts work for him. If you do want more tips, you can also listen to episode 375 as well. So the next one is from Paul, and I would say it is less of a win and more of a learning experience. Paul said he forgot to activate his Chase card before going on holiday, so he couldn't get cash from an ATM. So the Chase card is an amazing card to use on holiday because it's completely free and you still get the 1% cash back every time you spend. However, he couldn't do that. So instead, he ended up using his Halifax Clarity card instead. So this card, which you can also use for free abroad, it doesn't charge fees when you use it, including when you make purchases or cash withdrawals, but it does charge interest on the balance. So for this, I mean, Paul, try and pay off the balance as soon as you can because Halifax will charge you until you pay it back. And yeah, I guess kind of, I don't want to say it sounds patronizing, but this is a lesson to be learned. I mean, the Chase card, it does require activation. It's very easy to do. You go into the app and you kind of activate it within the app. However, it is a different way to do it. I think lots of us are used to getting the debit card or our cards through the post, and then you use it once in the ATM with your PIN number, and then it's kind of all good to go. So yeah, so it's just kind of getting used to a different way of activation. But yeah, I hope it wasn't too costly, Paul. And yeah, and now hopefully your Chase card is now activated. The next one, Chloe. Oh, I love this one. Okay, so Chloe recently took advantage of a BA Amex offer on travel website Vieta, which gave her £40 back on £250 spend. So she booked a group excursion for an upcoming wedding, which was £33 each. And so she's made a £7 profit and the excursion is free for her. To kind of stack the deal, she also bought via Top Cashback for 20% cashback on that deal. However, she says it hasn't immediately tracked, and so she's got like an open claim. However, if it does come to her, she'll be getting £59. So including the £7 profit, that's £66 in total. So I mean, this is amazing. I mean, if you're in charge of booking a group trip, then if you're going to get cashback on your card, that's amazing. And if you're going to kind of try and stack the deals to profit from it, I mean, good for you. I sort of did this kind of recently. I booked a spa day for my friend, and instead of kind of stacking deals, there wasn't any cashback available. I just Googled a discount code and I got £6 off, which isn't a huge amount, but I told my friend and we have split the savings. But I'm interested to hear what other people think, if you've got any experiences of booking kind of excursions or booking things for groups and profiting from it. What would you do? Would you keep the money or would you share it between you? Let us know on the Facebook group. Paul has said he has had 6 wins on premium bonds this year and says he's won something every month for the past 2 years. So that's like an amazing stroke of luck. However, he says he's worried now he's jinxed himself. Well, Hopefully not. Although that is amazing. Has anyone else? Yeah, I'd be interested to find if anyone else has had similar wins with premium bonds, because yeah, it's been going on for a long time, Paul. Good for you. And if you do have the premium bonds, the June results are in, and you can check them on the NSNI website right now. And finally, Tracy's told us she's got £600 from Nationwide, as both her and her partner got the £100 fairer share payment via their joint account and joint mortgage. Plus, they've both switched personal accounts for the £200 each. So this is brilliant. We've got all the details of how you can do this on Be Clever with Your Cash. There's, basically £600 for couples if they are eligible. There are criteria. We explain it all. But what's amazing about this year is, compared to last year, there were lots of complaints from people who didn't get the fairer share payment, but there seems to be a lot more wins this year. And that's it for this week. So thank you so much for joining us. If you want to read the articles we've spoken about today, you can find them at becleverwithyourcash.com or in the show notes. We'll be back with another show on Tuesday, so see you then.